What's up, YouTube? Blue Collar Crypto coming at you. I'm going to show you a quick nature video that's going to basically represent what's going on in the cryptocurrency market right now. So check this out. Now, I'm sorry this isn't a bull. I couldn't find a video of a grizzly bear fighting a bull. So you got to settle for the grizzly bear versus the caribou in an exciting showdown, okay? And, yep. And this entire fight is very reminiscent of what I think is going to happen with cryptocurrency over the next few months. Yeah, look at that caribou. Dang, that bear is strong. You got to give that bear some credit for stopping the caribou dead in his tracks and now wrestling it by the neck, stopping the bear market and reminding the crypto space this is not over. The bears are still in control, and try as hard as you can to escape and run to the upside. It's just not going to happen. We are going to drag you into the crypto abyss by the neck, by the head. Shorts crushing the market. Moon boys wrecked as they struggle for breath and they're dug further into the crypto abyss. It's over. We just saw our little bull market charge, ladies and gentlemen. We just saw it. But what you're seeing here is what we're about to see over here on the chart. Now, to give you an idea of how powerful bears are, this is a female grizzly bear. Females are about 50 to 60% the size of the males. And that caribou just became the meal for her cubs. Now, let's get to Bitcoin. Guys, we've seen a nice market over the last 3 days. A lot of people have done well. I made a little bit of profit in this recent uptrend, and I am out of it and looking for a possible re-entry. Let's get some little trend lines established. So we're on the 4-hour chart, and we have broken through several channels. Let's get to the 4-hour and get a little more specific and just draw them here. So our bottom channel is ultimate low, about 3150. I'm on the Bitfinex exchange here, which is typically a little higher than the average, but it's one of the few exchanges that has a genuine like liquidity that isn't faked. So I like to use the Bitfinex chart, but really, you know. And so there was the previous low here. But once we broke through that low, we saw in this channel a new low, and then support turned to pressure, okay? We were coming down through this falling wedge that a lot of the technical analysts have talked about, and we broke through that falling wedge back to the upside. But each time we were meeting a newer low, we would then come back up, and the previous support would become pressure. So that phenomenon held true here, and it also held true here. But once we broke to the upside, we moved through several channels. So let's show you visually exactly where that is, okay? So here's your old low back here. And then there was some pressure at this point as well. So you see the initial move upward, broke it out of its bottom channel, rocketed right through the next channel, and touched the top of the third. Yep. And now we've rocketed up through the next channel. We've come up, we've touched a little bit of the pressure in this area, but now we're hitting what I believe is more significant pressure above $4,000. Based on the pure technicals, the math of it, you're looking at something like 4,400 perhaps, but $4,000 is an even number. It's a psychological sell point. And if this is a strong bear market on the weekly chart, we're going to see this run out of gas pretty quick. Let's take you over to the indicators. Let's take a look at our RSI. Where's it at? Right down here. Relative Strength Index. And we are really, really, really overbought. A lot of day traders trade just based on the RSI, and we are very overbought at this point, and we've spent a lot of time overbought. You know, Bitcoin was defying a lot of the technical analysis yesterday, when we were back in this neighborhood, breaking above 4,000, then the 3,900s, the RSI was quite, where are we at here? Right, still very overbought. Came down, didn't come down too far, came back. These things have to end sooner or later, ladies and gentlemen. So we're looking extremely overbought. That is not a good sign. Now we're going to take a look at the focus on here. What's the next one? Okay, and never mind. My brain's going everywhere today. So let's take it over to the weekly. What do we have going on here in long term in the crypto space? All right. So take a look at this chart for a second. The weekly chart on the log perspective. Be honest with yourselves. Do you really think that after this steep of a move to the downside, we're just going to hit the upside and go right back up? What has changed about cryptocurrency in the last 2 weeks that would turn the sentiment around and do a 180? And ladies and gentlemen, nothing. Nothing has changed enough to constitute a complete 180 in this market. So I don't think there's any reason to believe that we've seen a complete turnaround here. I think there's a lot of moon boys and a lot of people who are just drunk with greed, and they're completely oblivious to the brass tacks realities of what's going on here. So let's get down to the daily, get a little more specific, all right? This is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But now we're going to bring out our little Elliott wave tools, just to dazzle, just a little bit of razzle dazzle. See, we got to have our corrective waves, right? We got to have 3 corrective waves. So we got to have like wave 1, right? And then we got to have wave 2. Wave 2's got to be pretty good. Wave 2's got to be pretty good, right? So wave 2 is going to take us from what, 3,200 up to 4,400 maybe? But man, oh man, you saw the video, right? You saw what those grizzly bears can do. And guys, this type of volatility in Bitcoin is not unrealistic at all, this one, because you got to remember that so many of like the unique individuals, the people who bought in this phase here, the mania phase, got shaken out of the market. Cryptocurrency is not getting a lot of attention. All of your friends who doubted you and then you screwed up are laughing at you now. So Bitcoin has very low liquidity across the exchanges, and very few people control a hell of a lot of the crypto. Long story short, there's not a lot of liquidity. This is going to be incredibly volatile, and it can be susceptible to manipulation. So if you're going to get involved in this, like stop limits, cover your ass, because nobody knows where this is going to go. This is just my best guess. And if you want to try to learn something from my best guess, go right for it. So why do I think we are going to see a continued move to the downside? Looking back at points of possible support in the last bull market, we realized that, yeah, we're finding some stability where we saw some stability in the last bull market. So anywhere from this high of all the way to 5,000 down to the bottom of this, let's get a little tighter, down to the bottom of this candle on the averages about 3,200. The wick goes all the way down to 29. But see, we've been in that range. This, oddly enough, is starting to represent the sort of like macro channel we've entered, where I'm willing to bet that this 4,400 level, perhaps the average on the weekly chart, let's just get into it. Okay, where's our weekly? Our weekly average high, 4,500. And right now, we're just inching up near that. I would not be surprised if the B wave of this correction is going to establish the temporary trading range. So what is going to be critical here, guys, is if we get rejected completely, which I think is happening at a lower level than 4,500. But if we get rejected completely and we start moving back through the channels, each one of those levels is going to be critical, each one of them. So right here, 3,700. A lot of people will be looking at this as a point for re-entry, hoping the bull market continues. If we can hold there, we might look for a move back up to the upside. If we crash through it, I would look for a turn to the downside to 3,500, because we'll be moving into this channel. Now, depending on how strong the bears are, and I think we're going to see that over the next day or two, based on the next few candles that come out in the 4-hour. Because if we start getting like bottom wicks, but they're taking us sort of in this direction, the sentiment that will gain traction at 3,700 can build up. But guys, if we start blasting down very quickly, the sentiment's not going to hold up. And that is going to be at least, guys, an indicator for how we're going to look on the longer time scale. Because we take you back to the daily here. Let's say, and this is the time where my internet decides to be slow. But taking you back to the daily here, okay? We could see a move. If we start moving back to the all-time low, a lot of the sentiment is going to be double bottom. But if we break below 3,200, guys, that's when I think that the crypto bears are really going to attack, and we're going to see the final capitulation. I made a video about a month or so ago about sort of the emotional reaction of this market right now. And I said that everyone has to get their heart broken twice. And so the initial heartbreak, the hope that it will recover, and the final heartbreak realization that it's gone. That's the process in this market that has to shake out the people and the entities that are going to prevent this from going into its true accumulation phase and its final ramp upward. And that, guys, is going to take a couple years. This all has to settle down. So, I mean, be very careful with it. But I would not be surprised in the least. Bitcoin 6K, 3K, 5K, 2K. It even sounds like Fibonacci a little bit. All those 3, 2s, and 5s. You know, you got to remember, wasn't there some article that the crypto markets were like heavily manipulated? And isn't it kind of funny that when a market is heavily manipulated and based solely on emotion, that somehow it ends up manifesting this Fibonacci ass shit? This is fascinating to me. So, blue collar crypto, signing off, or at least trying to learn how. There we go.